All right. Hello. Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We're back tonight. We're playing more Swords of the Serpentine, and we're starting up our the finale, the final arc, right? Like, we have a couple episodes left. So we have 4 arcs. We just finished up one last week that elected Melissa's character Fortuna as like the new the leader of the family. So congratulations.
Yay. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna get like a tiara or something that you would wear. Or
I did have a thought at one point of just getting like a Golden Girls style wig, and then I was like, yeah, I don't really need to see the future.
I always wanted to do Brindlewood Bay so that I could wear my Golden Girl style. I have like a bunch of stuff saved, and we can get the big old glasses and the things, but just haven't done it yet. At some point we will.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun when we do.
It will. It will. I can tell you what's not going to be fun is this final arc. It's going to be brutal and awful. And I don't know. Have you all played Mass Effect 3? Has everyone here played the third Mass Effect?
Yeah.
Okay. I used to dislike the third Mass Effect. When I first played it, I was kind of disappointed. And I was like, that's it? That's all there was? And I come over time to like really start to like it because it felt like the whole game was essentially like an epilogue, right? Whereas like 2 was like the big pieces, and then 3, which is kind of the last bits. And that's kind of how like I want to treat this last arc of ours is like we're gonna be doing a thing. It's gonna be awful. Some of you might not survive, et cetera, but you're gonna have time throughout to be able to like pepper in like little moments from your past, because we're doing a big time jump for them. We're gonna be jumping forward 15 years since our last since the election of Fortuna, so to speak.
Long time.
And so you guys are going to have an opportunity to like kind of flesh out some of the things that you were doing in those years. You're going to give us a quick summary here in a minute, but you're going to have opportunities throughout this last arc to kind of drop these little flashbacks here and there to things that have transpired. Get them out, because you might not. We'll see what the end is like, but it's going to be a rough one. But anyhow. That's just what was going through my head. I've been doing a lot of Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness rereading in preparation for this last arc as well. Anyone who read that? Long?
I'm the reader here. I've read it.
The horror.
Have you seen Apocalypse Now at least? Have you seen Apocalypse Now?
What is that? A movie? Show?
What is that?
Yeah, it's a movie.
There's your answer.
It's just one of the best movies of all time. That's fine.
Oh my
That's
God.
fine. It's all right.
So you
you
killed me before we even started. I'm dead. Just dead in my seat.
Aaron's just hanging out now. He's not even really here. He's a ghost. Yeah. Anyhow, so that's where we're at. Okay, so you guys have refreshed all your stuff. You should have full health. You guys still have full health, full morale. Get all your points back. All that kind of good stuff. We're going to do a little house rule with our audience boost this arc to let them like trigger little flashbacks for like basic investigative point boosts, things like that. So hopefully we'll learn more about what happened to them in these intervening years. Before we full on dive into like your little montages and such of the past 15 years, I have some lingering questions for you. Last time we saw all of you together, you all attacked and killed Althavira. Rightfully so. She was insane, and she had become possessed by Castellar, an evil sorcerer from the Age of Assassination, and you took her down. It was really dicey in the very beginning, but the tide turned and you took her down. And not only that, you prevented Castellar from escaping, and you essentially annihilated him before he was able to escape. And at the very end of the session, we saw Orsyth Mainwallen, who is also Alexander Dumas, the crazy hermit that no one ever understood why he always said good things about the family. And he's just some relatively immortal sorcerer who's somehow tied to your family. And there he was. And he opens the door into the Sacral Void, which is where it turns out the like cocoon gestating body of Borda is just sort of pulsating. And Fortuna had to take a nice big bite of her. And became Matriarch, and has some fun new abilities too because of it as well. And so what we kind of glossed over, because we were running pretty late, is the cover story that you all decided to put together. Because at the end of the last session of the last arc, several important figures, well-known figures within Alderhall, within Giglio Hill, especially your neighborhood, had passed. So we're talking about the heir apparent to the Bonaventure clan, which was huge, Fabrizio. And then also the heir apparent to the Carnuccio house, Felipe Carnuccio, friend of Chauncey, and the neighborhood chaplain, Father Macaulay, also died. Other people too. Bunch of other people too, but those they're not important. Those three were very significant. But other people died, and then a bunch of people were hurt. There's lots of weird stuff that was happening. And so I asked you for homework to come up with a good story. Have you all concocted a cover story? So what do we think the cover story is?
Well, my idea was that we spread it out, that the same group of sorcerers who attacked us before and kidnapped Altavira for some horrific ritual had come back and sorcerously bound and attacked our mansion. So even though they could not get her body, they were going to steal her ghost and complete the ritual using her ghost. Nice. And in the process of that, several important people, including several members of the main Wallen family, were killed, including, our not that we murdered her or anything, but, she was killed by sorcerers, obviously. And that it was actually the efforts of the priest and the two inquisitors that finally beat off the sorcerers, even though they had to sell their lives to do it. So we build a new chapel. I think it makes sense.
I like it.
There's definitely good sense there. So a couple follow-up questions. And so first, Vincent, Silvita, both of you are sorcery inclined. How are you with scapegoating sorcerers, which you know that sorcerers themselves are like, it's not just because you're a sorcerer doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get arrested, but the act of sorcery is tends to be very, very poor. So how would you feel?
The sorcerers weren't the ones that overtly attacked us. It was the salt pirates. And I don't mind focusing on that instead. Also, we are missing Father Mikhail's body.
The reason I said sorcerers is because all of the witnesses saw our entire mansion get changed and pulled into some other world. So
it was clear the sorcery was involved.
We kind of need a magical enemy to make that make sense.
Yeah, and Fortuna's also kind of thinking like we're like almost that we were victims as well, because like the people there don't necessarily remember everything, obviously, because that was the thing.
And so
like but like we also don't either. Like whatever befell, like we also have gaps in our memory. Like everyone has gaps in their memory. We also have gaps in our memory. So kind of that like, here's what we've pieced together, but we were victims just like everybody else was victims, and people have gaps in their memory and we also have gaps in our memory. And so like that was a piece of the story that I was thinking about as well.
Okay. So the last thing you all remember was getting attacked by these sorcerers and these pirates, and then everything after that it's just a blur, and you wake up and
just flashes here and there, like a flash of the priest and the inquisitors fighting these things off, and then next flash we're back at the
cutting my wife out of the serpent. I don't even remember how we got there, how we beat it. I don't know.
That's another question I was going to ask. Do you give Valentina the mind tonic?
I think Chauncey respects her enough. He would ask her, if she wants to or not.
Would Chauncey take it as well?
No, as much as he hates it, no.
Oh,
Valentina wouldn't take it. I just rolled a 50-50. Valentina wouldn't take it. She would want to remember this. She would want to remember this. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So when shit's that bad, choosing to forget it is just choosing to doom yourself in the future.
And then the only other person I think you guys all brought was Edda. Would you have insisted Edda take it, or would you have? Because Edda was also attacked as well.
Yes, and I gave Edda. She was the first one who got the mind wash tonic. I gave it to her on camera, and we would.
Oh, that's right. When we were healing her, yeah.
Presented it as like she had an accident, like something bad happened, but nobody remembers. And Solavita would have started to try to transition her into like an apprenticeship with Mario and Luigi, so that she could move away from the mansion.
Okay,
and also Mario and Luigi.
Yeah,
I
initially I was initially going to have Mario and Luigi at the party, well, at least one of them to represent the Guild of Architects and Canal Watchers, and then have one of them die. But there was just so many things going on that it never happened. So there's a lot of different things. Okay, all right. I think that's it. So Vincent, are you okay with this scapegoating of Sorcerer's plan? How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm probably going to take a bit of blame for it too, because I was a part of their sorcerers. But as a scapegoat, it's okay. I'll probably be fleeing the city for a bit anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys...
sense.
Okay.
You have the prior reputation, and then they get used as a scapegoat here. Yeah.
All right. I think this is a really good cover story. I definitely think that the Bonaventures will not believe anything you say, but that's got nothing to do with the story. That's just got everything to do with who you are and who they are.
Yeah.
But I think outside of that, I think your story would probably work to the point where, I mean, not everyone's going to believe you, obviously. Like, you're always going to have a reputation, but I don't think it necessarily would be a story that would that people would be able to punch a significant amount of holes. And there'll be rumors. There'll be people who might talk bad about you behind the back. Bonaventures, I think, will continue to say something's up, something's about that. That they're not telling the full truth about what went down during the secession rites and such. So that'll certainly be a part of their gossip mongering.
But it means they didn't forget about us. Our name continues to be on the lips of Eversink.
Okay.
Isn't really what's important for
that's all that
ancient
really
ability,
matters.
really, is just to not be forgotten.
Are we holding grudges with the Bonaventures to have a mutual beneficial, like, continuous talk about us going on? Is that really what we're doing?
Well,
I mean, I feel like Chauncey's done some things that
actually, one of the things I chatted with Jeff about is, like, Chauncey has been kind of trying to foster good relations with Juliana, who was the wife of the one who was meant to be the guy who took over. And she's like a good mover and shaker. The younger brother who's next in line wasn't nearly as adept. And so Chauncey Chauncey's tried to stay friends with Juliana, who's kind of in a position where she can nudge things, even if she's not officially in power, to the point that he's even tried to ship her with Randy.
I wonder how Valentina feels about you spending so much time.
All the more reason he's tried to ship Randy. Like, oh God.
Okay. All right.
Oh, no.
Chauncey was like, "Oh shoot, John's wife."
Did I not mention that could be a problem?
I can totally see that being the thing. Like, Chauncey's trying to switch into new gears. Like, I'm going to try and do better.
Yeah.
Still getting the same shit.
All right. So let's go ahead. Let's start. Let me get a little music going here. Okay. So we're flashing forward a good 15 years. We don't have to be too precise about it, so don't worry about doing the math. 15 or so years have passed. That means since the beginning of this adventure, back during the Future Tide celebration, and we had 5 years before the Saltbound attack, and then 15 years since then. So it's been 20 years essentially since all of you first got together and kind of became more close knit and operated to try to save the family dynamic in spite of itself, right? And 15 years have passed since this horrific time during the succession between Eliana's death, Fortuna's ascension, Althavira's death, and all of you have, in some cases, scattered. I know some of you have told me a little bit about what you've done, but some of you have scattered, some of you have stayed behind, some of you have expanded your families, some of you have focused. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go around and kind of fill us in on what's been going on with your character over these past 15 years. Hit the highlights, the most important things, and then over the course of the arc, we'll be able to fill in some other gaps if you want to. We're going to start with Arkadiy, because I kind of know a little bit about what Arkadiy is doing. So what happened to Arkadiy shortly after the events of Eliana's death?
After a few months after Fortuna became Matriarch, Arkadiy turned over all of his contacts to the Thieves Guild and his area of city that he was under control over to Helene and returned to Luzrek, his home city, to try to deal with Ice Sorceress's death curse that was plaguing him and slowly creeping up his left arm. So he goes back to family, and family Sorceress says, we cannot break curse exactly, but we take runes. We take runes of heat and the runes of protection, and we brand them into your left forearm and spiral pattern around it. And that will keep cold at bay. It's good. Downside is you must rebrand arm every morning. So, 14 and a half years of it, I get used to the pain, but it's not very pleasant. I was thinking, perhaps I go back to Eversink, that stinking, swampy mire of a city, but I have friends there who need me. However, my dear, sweet, beloved babushka, she passed shortly after that, and her niece assumed the matriarch's position, dear Isabel. And Isabel, I gave to her my prayer beads, which are the beads that link our family to Morana. I was caring for them, for babushka. But Isabel says to me, she says, dear Uncle Arkadiy, you have seen so much of world. You are stalwart. I want you at my right hand to be the master of security, the master of spies here for me in Luzrek. So, for 15 years, I stayed with family, my family, in cold, like civilized human being. But lately, nightmares have begun to plague me, of dark cancer growing out of the swamps of Eversink, consuming everything, consuming family, consuming men Wallens, and then oozing up the other bloodlines to take out the Ruskas as well. This cannot be. I think to myself, what can I do? And then letter comes from Fortuna. Dear sweet Fortuna, asking me, old man Arkadiy, will you come back to Eversink? We have issues. And I think to myself, perhaps this is what is meant to be. So I go to Isabel. I say, Isabel, the family is in dire straits. I must return to fetid swamp and the base, disgusting Mainwallen family to help them put this right. May not return, but if I do not, please, I will have a rib of my body and my heart sent back to you for ritual to carve out prayer bead to add to strength, so that I can sleep with Morana instead of as a statue with that decrepit, disgusting Denal. Ciao.
So we see Arkadiy hop onto, a ship for his cross-ocean voyage. We fade out of that. And we'll pick up, actually, with Vincent, because I do think, Vincent, your stories might cross a little bit at some point. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You'll find Vincent in a full, heavy robe in a snowy environment. He's also in Luzrek. He's followed Arkadiy home. There's time where he's picked up a bit of prophecy. He's had dreams of this cold. And it led him here, to Arkadiy, to find his true name in this town of its high culture, performance. There's been rumors of a mage going around and making people more somber. There's more tears in town, more sadness. And this place has an open sorcery policy, so he can play with sorcery as much as he likes until the dreams lead him somewhere. They give him visions, sounds of Arkadiy's true name. He's able to learn it, offering a larger sense of trust, protection for the family, to Arkadiy. And he spends a couple of years here.
Do you think you leave with Arkadiy when Arkadiy goes back, or do you think you leave prior to that? Like, do you venture away from Luzrek? Because there's a long interval of time that you could have been here. What do you think?
I'd say after him, I'd be in Eversink for a bit more, trying to clean up a bit of what happened in the manor, the ghosts that are wandering around because of the statues breaking, and getting a sense of the corruption here.
One of the things that you noticed when you were in Luzrek, and whether or not, I mean, judging from the way Arkadiy described it, maybe you haven't mentioned this to him, but you have the spirit sight ability. You have the ability to detect corruption. And whether or not Arkadiy has shared his prophetic dreams and visions with you, again, it's up for the two of you to decide. But one of the things you actually started to notice, and the final times, the final days that you stayed in Luzrek as you awaited your ship, the passage that you had paid for, is you started to see little streaks and signs of corruption within the home of Arkadiy, right? And you, every now and then you would see like the discoloration of a painting hanging on the wall. This sudden kind of grime begin to form. You would see servants or overhear servants talking about trying to clean it away and not being sure exactly where it came from. You wandering around the city itself, like you said, can not just like investigating and exposing yourself to the culture, but like you said, like conveying this sense of sorrow. You heard stories about not just people getting sadder, but these other moments where like a sickness kind of spread. And some folks just attributed it to just a usual seasonal sickness, and other folks would suggest that it was something a little bit more virulent than in years past. There are times in which certain times that you might have been called into a room, and when you look up, you might see in the small section of a person's forehead, just underneath where their hair drapes down, a couple little tiny bits of scales, similar to Solavita when she would cast, and similar to Althavira, which had grown far beyond what you expect. And there might even be times in which like a young couple would like kind of wander around and cover up their baby. And when you look down, you can see a small little vertical pupil, essentially, where like there's these little things, these signs, these portents that began to accumulate over your time there, and might have coincided with some of the dreams and visions that Arkadiy was having. Anything else that Vincent does once he leaves Luzrek? Do you voyage back with him? Are you on the same ship, or do you go back earlier?
I go back earlier. See, Arkadiy said he spent all 15 years here, so I'd
pretty much the whole time. Yeah. Okay.
I'd take back. I know they're big on like evil spirits, warding, and all that, so I'll take that back to the manor. Use what I've learned there.
Okay. So you venture back. You find the manor in much better condition than when you left it. Before you had left, like you said, you spent time purging it of any lingering spirits that still that needed to find homes, right? And when you return, you're able to see that Fortuna has revitalized it to some degree. Before we get to Fortuna, though, let's check in with Solavita. What has Solavita been doing? Because maybe she is part of the revitalization efforts, considering her architectural backgrounds. What do you think Solavita's been up to in these years?
On that faithful night some 15 years ago, Solavita, at the end of it, made her way back home outside of the manor to Dionisio and Natal. She looked at her young daughter at that time, and she turned to her husband and she told him everything, and they got to work. Dionisio is also a member of the Architects Guild, and together they started to gather all the papers that she'd collected and everything else they could find in the manor on what Orsith had been doing, how it was constructed, how to deconstruct it. And they started to break it down. While they were doing this, Natal got older. She was introduced to Fortuna, whom she now calls Nona, and they would go to tea, but Natal wouldn't go to the manor. Natal also saw Solavita start bringing sort of big blocks of marble home where she would start carving out and working on statues that for the people that had broken, so she could replace them and let them go to rest for her mother. And Natal picked it up and treated it just like an art form and started to help her mother as she got older and learned the tools. Also, she enjoyed hanging around Chauncey's oldest sons, Carmen and Corrado, and they might also dive into the depths of the city and find the treasures, the same as Solavita used to do quite so regularly. Bits of money, and they would get in trouble. They got into a lot of, we had to get them out of prison a few times. But they, talked their way. They learned to be better about talking their way out of it, as they would. Dionisio would start to come to the manor with Solavita and would also meet Fortuna there. And at this time, we might not tell Fortuna the extent of our knowledge in terms of the deconstruction, but bring her and Natal together, giving her something outside of the Manualan name. Also, Solavita would regularly send letters to Vincent on what magic she'd learned, and she was practicing more than she had been for a long time to learn it and talk to him about it, and also show him how the sort of arcane symbols work. And so, yeah, you find her now having built herself a better house with her family, still a little bit of ways from the manor, but still working with Fortuna, Nona, and Natal, and Dionisio.
You mentioned digging into like Orsyth's, like Orsyth's brand of magic.
We would be talking to him. We would literally be talking to him as well, yes.
So Orsyth, also known as Alexander Dumas, you know that he's an oddity, obviously, because he should be literally hundreds and hundreds of years old.
Yes.
And somehow is still living. It's not a ghost. And Vincent was able to, with his spirit sight, clear the fact that this is not a man who is possessed. He is somehow his life has elongated. But you would also know, Solavita, that being matriarch somehow elongates the lifespan as well. It's so while you don't, and he also probably wouldn't be able to get too specific about how. He just knows that somehow the connection to Borda that the matriarch has, and that he does as well as the architect of this place, has allowed him to live.
I think at some point in time, Solavita would have asked him this. I'm just kind of in a random conversation, because she is blunt and socially awkward. If he would ever want to actually die, to pass on and be released.
Okay, so we'll say that there's a scene where the two of you, maybe Natal isn't there, maybe it's just the two of you talking, and this is in one of the times in which he's returned, because he's still, much like his time as Alexander Dumas, he disappears for long stretches and returns, and disappears for long stretches and returns, and he describes it as like it's a necessary element for him to rejuvenate. And when you ask him about wanting to die, like, he will tell you, there is nothing I would want more. But every time I do, she returns me.
And Solavita
or another.
And Solavita would nod and then tuck that information away and share it to Dionisio later in the when candlelight was the only light around.
He is a boon and a font of knowledge when it comes to not just the specific manner itself, but the brand of sorcery that is practiced, although not publicly mentioned, by the Guild of Architect and Canal Watchers. It's just a sort of they use sorcery, and he, being an old member, was there at the forging of the guild, and there at understanding how this works. He helped build the prisons that keep sorcerers in check, not just the ones beneath your estate, but the ones in the city itself. So he is a font of knowledge. And so I would say you have certainly expanded in terms of your understanding, not just of statuary, but the manipulation of stone, of metal, which seems to be his primary spheres, but also this understanding of void Like he can kind of create these like spatial voids, and this idea of using spatial sort of spatial arrangements to just create locales with which things can be trapped, where things can be things can somehow be isolated. He describes the sacral void to you in a little bit greater depth, as it's part of it is a prison in some ways because of the sheer nature of it, but it's more a cocoon. The idea of a safe space within which Borda can gestate and do so without detection by the Nari's most faithful. Because something that he basically describes, Borda as like a cancer for Eversink, just growing and festering. And the fact that he created this space has allowed her to do so in a manner which hasn't been detected by the Inquisitors of higher power than the ones that you all face, like the upper echelons of the Church of Denari. So these are all things that he would freely share with you.
Then I might switch, knowing this information, a statuary into a more, I guess, would he have done transformation maybe as a sphere? Like I would align what was statuary more to his sphere. Like
I just put it down as stone and metal. Like I think that's what I wrote in my notes, but you're welcome to use transformation for it too. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I think she would go towards that more.
He can essentially find ways to manipulate on a sort of like a materialistic level, this really tiny, small, almost infinite, like to the point where you can't see it, like particles of stone and metal. He can manipulate and shape it in some ways, and do so that defies logic, right? Defies what the physical world allows.
Maybe transmutation. And I'm going to switch then.
Yeah, he's very much. He's also mad. Like that is not.
Oh yeah,
that is clear.
Oh, this is 15 years of us like pulling specks of info, I imagine, because his brain is not there.
Exactly. So we fade out of that little conversation, one of these interval conversations with Orsites, and we check in with Chauncey. What has Chauncey been up to these past 15 years?
So after witnessing just the absolute horror of the last arc, Valentina and Chauncey agreed that the best response to that, with no idea of how to fix the problem, is to just live their best lives as best they know how. And so for like Chauncey, one of the first starting points is like he's got his own abandonment issues from being an orphan growing up. Philippe was kind of his friend, and Philippe had kids that were the same age as his sons. And so he starts kind of trying to reach out to be there for them, which the Carnuccios are very related to the church. And so then Chauncey starts showing up to church events, and his nature is to just kind of like socially network anyways. And so he ends up he's never going to be like the upright do-gooder church guy, but he kind of does become a presence within the church. And like not fully intentionally, but it just happens. He starts becoming
low-key born again Denari worshiper. Is that what he is?
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Okay.
Yeah, Loki. Perfect. Yes. He starts doing a little bit less of the shit talking, and strangely enough, like good fortune follows. His luck kind of his ridiculous luck just seems to increase. Fortune's been in his favor. He even at one point reaches out to the same guy that he had had to sell his old eel ball boots to get his porter company. That guy really wanted his own eel ball team, but they were kind of like outing him. So Chauncey did a little hustling and bustling, and lo and behold, he was able to get his own team created, but he had to do it in kind of the outsider area, the Cametown area. So now Chauncey is the general manager of the Cametown Chargers. He has his own eel ball team, and he uses that as a platform to do like charity events and just lots of public gatherings. And like, he'll make sure that there's donations to the church and the food drives and stuff like that. Well, also he still has his own trading company and he's raking in his own money. Sure. Like he's going to take care of himself, but he's, making sure to give.
Very diversified portfolio, it sounds like.
Yeah. And he also has two more twins. He's got his daughters, Carlotta and Chiara, on top of Carmine and Corrado. And Chauncey has stayed handsome throughout all the years, but he's reaching the threshold. His daughters are now both 13, twin 13-year-olds.
Worst age.
Oh, God. And he's finally starting to get the little gray hairs are finally starting to show up, but he keeps plucking them out. Because he doesn't want to show that he's graying, but that would hurt his soul. And he always names them after his daughters every time he pulls one out.
Okay.
But overall,
So-
he's been living a pretty good life.
So I'm going to ask you the question that everyone wants to know is,
Mm.
how's Randy doing? What's going on with him?
So, Chauncey no longer runs the legitimate bastard. He turned it over to the new legitimate bastard, Randy.
Who is officially
Yeah.
a distant cousin in the main wall in line
Yep.
somehow,
Legitimate.
for better or
So
worse.
he's turned that over to Randy, especially as he's taken on more of his manager duties. He's tried to like ship him and Juliana Bonaventure. I'll leave that to GM Fiat of how well that's gone or not. I don't know.
I would say that Juliana has very much enjoyed her
Freedom.
time as a widow,
Yeah.
and shortly after the events of Eliana's death in the succession reign, Vittorio Bonaventure died. Like very short, like literally within days.
Oh my.
He beat her by a
Crazy.
couple days, which means there was something of a power struggle for the Bonaventures.
Mm.
You know, there was Tommaso, who was this sniveling younger brother who Sola Vita nearly stabbed once a long time ago.
Mhm.
And there was Juliana, a strong-willed, married into the family widow of the favorite son. So I would say there has long been a kind of a battle between the two of them, and she, I would think that her concern would be marrying into the Mainwallens.
Mm.
In some ways would be very attractive, but in the other ways, in the other sense
Take
of
away.
it, like it might take away some of her,
Mhm.
some of her clout in some ways. But there might be a flirtation between the two of them because Randy has never married, which is shocking because he is clearly the premier bachelor. But
Yeah.
but I'll tell you this:
Well-
Randy is aging extremely well.
Yeah.
He is like all of the baby fat is gone. He is truly come into his own, and ownership of the legitimate
Mhm.
bastard has
And
really done well.
Even the little black book I used to have, I've also given that up. I've given that to Randy as well.
Well, thank you very kindly, but the gentleman never tells.
I understand, but if you're
And
going to be
now-
running,
I'm a gentleman. Haven't always been. But I am now.
you were always, just maybe not in name.
He has combed his hair, clean shaven. He even has a little perfume on, well dressed, like everything about like he looks more like a noble probably than half of you have for the entire adventure. Like he is definitely leaning into it.
Wow.
And even though he's probably not particularly wealthy, he is certainly taken
Nice.
his new position. Okay,
I'll put out
so
one
I'll say
last
there's a
thing.
flip.
Oh,
Yeah, go for it. No, go
there
ahead.
is one last little. There does have to be some amount of pettiness with Chauncey. So he's given up his great grandfather's clothes, and that fucking serpent that tried to eat him and his wife. He made a suit out of it, and that's his new signature items. He's got his serpentine suit because
I love
as much as he's trying to turn a new leaf, there's like a little bit of pettiness.
So is it like a full like 3-piece suit? Like you're just walking. There was definitely enough
Yes.
for that if you wanted.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like it's stylized. He put a lot. He like
Like
it's
a
a big
Texas
thing to
oil
him.
baron.
Right.
It's one of those things where like it's just ridiculous, but it kind of suits him.
Okay. That is wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. That'll definitely be what you're wearing in a moment when we start up the new chapter. But I want to check in first with Fortuna. So Fortuna, you and I have talked a little bit about this, and we've sort of addressed that to some degree. Fortuna has been repairing much of the harm that the Mainwallen name has seen over the past 20 years or so.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell us a little bit more? What has Fortuna been doing?
Yes. So I would say that we've kind of seen her in the past. She's always very much been about the family and about kind of trying to bring other people into the fold and all of these kinds of things. And so one of the things that I did sort of mechanically with kind of the advancement in between arcs is we previously had enemy of the commoners. So I kind of spent the advance to kind of buy down and basically get rid of that as an enemy. So basically kind of all this time that she's spent out there with the name, trying to do, good works and all those kinds of things, kind of changing that dynamic a bit. Within the relationship with Fortuna and the main Mullins. Something else, as 15-year time jump. So age-wise, Fortuna is now 70. And she had been also in the Guild of Architects and Canal Watchers, but she became very focused on the family and all of the things that she was doing with the family. And so she really didn't progress as far as she thought she would in that guild. So it's always been a focus for her to kind of leave her mark. And as she's assessing her life, she didn't necessarily get as far with that as she kind of thought that she would. So she's very proud of Solavita. And one of her iconic items was a compass, basically. And so at some point in the intervening years, she will gift that to Solavita. And that's for Fortuna. Giving up that iconic item is kind of a this did not go the way she thought that it would. And it's now Solavita and her family are definitely doing very well within the guild. So she's going to gift that iconic item, swapping it out for her cane. Because that's kind of, even in the last arc, she's getting older and the cane was sort of there. And so I'm kind of swapping that out as her new iconic item. She, in kind of this, obviously she's matriarch and there's a whole lot of things that go into that, but how she wants to still leave the mark and spread the name is she's trying to get kind of the thing that rich people do is try to get things named after them and, kind of get names on plaques and all of those kinds of things. And so what this could be, and we kind of talked about this a little bit ahead of time, is an extension on the Opera House at Alder Hall that is now kind of main Mullen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something. I think they're going to call it Fortune's Hall. I think that's what they're going to call it because of the kind and generous donations by Fortuna Mainwall. Absolutely.
I definitely designed and built it for you.
Oh, for sure. Can if you want.
Absolutely.
I have 3 ranks in Architects Guild now, so.
Okay. And let me ask you a question, Fortuna. You have become matriarch, which is in fact one of your items. I'm not sure if you looked at it. It's on your character sheet. But you do have an item that says matriarch, which does have not just narrative but mechanical influence.
It does.
And in the 15 years, you have some. There are some things that you have benefited from. You probably feel to some degree that you are aging much more slowly than you probably recall. You feel certainly a little bit more youthful. There's greater energy despite the greater stresses. And not only that, but you've been able to sort of dabble in certain arts that only Vincent and Solavita have perhaps been able to dabble in the past. But the downside of that is that ever so often, a voice reaches out to you in the darkness. Sometimes it's when you're sleeping. Sometimes you just wake up. Sometimes it's when you're sitting alone in a hall, reading, doing paperwork, whatever it might be. Would you say that Fortuna is conversing with that voice? Or would you say Fortuna has been keeping that voice at bay, ignoring it like you might, like a buzz in the ear? How do you think Fortuna's been handling that?
I would say that Fortuna, for the most part, within this story, has wanted to know everything. So I would say when presented with this, she would be engaging.
So over the course of the 15 years, you are provided with a series of instructions. The instructions are not so granular and specific as to tell you exactly how how to achieve them, but they're more like goals. The idea. So some of these charitable donations, some of these business ventures, some of the recruitment efforts, those are all inspirations that come at some point, in one way or the other, from the voices that you hear in the dark. The voice of Borda that you think is Borda, or Madness, right. One of the two. So many of those things are inspired to some degree by that. Okay.
She's definitely listening, and she's definitely not putting her head in the sand. Like, she's engaging with all of this, and she's practicing. Like, and I would definitely say that she's probably engaged pretty directly with Solavita when she realized that she now has these abilities. So I would say that's been pretty open, as she can now do things that are connected to the swamp and some sorcery things.
So, in the recent past, sometime over the last, say, 6 months or so, you have noticed that the voices that you're getting from in the shadows, in your dreams, in the darkness, have becoming increasingly more demanding of you. And not only that, but they are becoming increasingly more specific. And they're tasking you with things over time. And you're starting to get the very real sense, not just from the voices themselves, but some of the effects that you're seeing around the mansion and around Eversink, around Giglio Hill, that Borda's time is nigh. You can tell that you have been over the course of these 15 years by achieving the things that she has told you to achieve. Whether you realize it or not, you have been helping pave the way, empower her, and innervate her in some fashion. And you get the very real sense at some point, Fortuna, that it is imminent. There are strange rumblings every now and then in the middle of the night. Nothing too perilous that maybe it gives you slight flashbacks to your succession night. Mm-hmm. But nothing so much that it destroys things. You find paintings throughout the house, throughout the estate, that grime begins to form. Servants complain about this, about trying to keep certain things clean. There have been issues with the hedge maze in some cases where the vegetation itself isn't growing quite properly. There's some sort of invasive species, some sort of flower, it seems like, that has been causing trouble. And so your gardeners are telling you of this issue. Your friend Aloysius Corteza, who you gifted some of the beautiful flora of the estate to get his greenhouse up and running as a way to honor his fallen father, had a similar incident happen at his greenhouse where everything just kind of stopped growing. And that's not the only thing. You've heard all sorts of reports as well. You've heard a Mercanti ship carrying goods that you have been importing inexplicably just began to splinter in the harbor and sunk. They were able to recover, or at least get some of the goods off in time, but you lost a decent chunk of whatever it is that you've been importing and exporting. During a lantern festival very recently in Giglio Hill, the lights that various folks were putting down into the canals themselves and putting them on small little gondolas and shipping them around as very beautiful holiday that your neighborhood celebrates. The lights themselves, the lantern lights, turned blue and gaseous, and the veins themselves, the canals, caught fire. And the canal watchers themselves, it was this horrific event. No one was thankfully hurt, but there was all sorts of damage done to the canal walls, to the bridges. All of these things have been happening over and over. More than one Solavita, maybe Natalie, has noticed aspects of the foundation of the estate itself seems to not crumble, but seems to be morphing or shifting in some ways. So you're seeing this kind of growth, this like spread of it has certainly come up.
Definitely explains why Fortuna would like be like, writing letters to Arkadiy and all of those things. Like the signs are clear.
So we're going to pick up. We'll say that Arkadiy has recently arrived. Vincent, everyone's back in town. Everyone's back in the city. And while this may not have been the primary reason for everyone here, there is another NPC that we should reference, a man by the name of Pelletier, who is turning 80 today. And his 80th birthday it just so happens to come at the same time as the dedication that the Opera House has of your Fortune's Hall. And so there is a concert that is being held in Fortuna's honor and Pelletier's honor, and the main wall in honor. They're actually revealing for the first time the main wall and box and the series of other boxes. The only boxes that usually are reserved are those for like the Triskidane themselves, right? And sometimes for the Church of Denari. So the fact that the main Wallens are actually getting this reserve box has become something of an event. And so I think that's where we're going to find ourselves. We're going to start up our scene here. It is, we'll call it summertime, I think. We'll say it's summertime. And the summer in a swamp is relatively humid, but that doesn't mean that people are any less willing to dress up for the occasion. And we see that there is, it's not just a main wall affair. This is a city affair. This is Alder Hall, Giglio Hill. We see this beautiful opera house in front of us. An opera house that I would imagine some of you at some point probably have attended concerts here. Vincent, are you still in the last college?
Yeah, it's still be a part of it.
Are you still on friendly terms with Ludovica?
Yeah, I'd say we're still working together.
Okay. And because you have kept such good relations, Ludovica herself, who is the I would say the most well-known, beloved prima donna in the entirety of Eversink, is actually going to perform at this venture. And we see the house is packed. We see rows upon rows of wealthy people, extraordinarily well-dressed, colorful nobility. We can see power players within the various guilds and the various industries of the town, all in the main hall themselves. You can see the stage is lit up, but the curtain has not been drawn. And then you can see the even richer folk, the more influential folk, like now yourselves, thanks to the work of Fortuna, are aligned and beginning to congregate in these opera boxes. And that's when all of you arrive. And you can see the lights at some point, these gas lights begin to dim and come back on, suggesting that the actual event is about to start. Would all of you, let me specifically ask Chauncey and Solavita, would you bring your family to this occasion? It's entirely up to you.
Solavita is probably arm in arm with Dionisio, which I know is now danger for him. But Solavita doesn't know that. It's been 15 years. Fair enough. She will leaning into his side a little bit and peek around to where Chauncey is, maybe with Valentina. Chauncey, guess where our children are this evening?
Well, Sheriff, if you roll your eyes at me one more time, just please, it's just 2 hours of your time. Just sit and look at the pretty people sing for 2 hours, please. Just...
oh my
the
God.
younger ones.
No,
I don't know why you chose to have more.
I'm going to get to play a 13-year-old girl. Is that what I'm doing right now? You're talking to a 13-year-old girl?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. This is terrible. Oh my God. This is the worst. Oh my God.
Twins.
Do I have
twins.
to be here? Yeah. And so the other one says, do I have to be here? If she doesn't have to be here, I don't have to be here.
Because everybody gets to see how beautiful and amazing you are. Isn't it wonderful?
No one can see anything. It's too dark. And we're not even on stage. The only people anyone's looking at is that old wrinkly lady that's going on stage.
I see that your children are as charming as you, Chauncey. By the way, Carmen, Corando, and Natal are down in the depths of the city over in the Outsiders World tonight, just so you know when we have to go pick them up from the jails in that area later.
Thank you for letting me know that. I really would have liked for them to have been here together, because it's been so hard telling my daughters they need to be here when my sons aren't here, and they're obviously going to throw that in my face, and I'm going crazy.
I'm sorry, I had
Thank
to
you.
teach Natal how to pick locks and disappear into shadows, so she taught her friends. What can you do?
And this, I love you so much, Solavita, and I'm so glad that they're spending this time together.
Yes. Well, I'll leave you to your parenting. Dionisio, I think we definitely chose one children was a good idea, yes.
And you can see that he still probably has a full head of hair and not necessarily gray yet, I would think. So he still looks like he's been
dark,
sleeping.
lush hair that's
Lush and
combed.
full. Yeah. Just walks by, gives Chauncey a little wink because he knows. Okay. So Chauncey, is Valentina here with you?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Dressed to the
Valentina.
nines. Valentina
Of course she is.
ages like it's like the whole thing where like she
Fine
just
wine.
hasn't aged. Like she reached a certain threshold and then just looks better than him at this point.
I have been like picturing since the very beginning. I've been picturing like a Michelle Pfeiffer from Age of Innocence. I'm not sure if people are familiar with so I've been picturing like a Michelle Pfeiffer for her for a while, and who like just kind of looks the same, like this elegance for like decades, which is crazy. And so I think that's kind of how I'm envisioning her. And so the two of you are here with your daughters. Your sons are not here. Solavita and Dionisio are both here. Or Dionisio. Probably Fortuna's already in the box, we'll say. Is Fortuna accompanied by anybody, do you think? Does she have a suitor, or does she have an assistant? Anything like that?
So I would say that she is really accompanying Pelletier. So I would say that, kind of guest of honor, it's his birthday, it's the unveiling. Okay. And then probably the third in that group, if you're okay with this, would be Theobald Mainwallen.
Okay.
As the younger Mainwallen that Fortuna is training up to be Pelletier's successor.
Okay.
Because that's the smart thing to do, and Pelletier has
Chauncey,
feelings about that.
And Chauncey has withdrawn somewhat, I think you said, from the family. Is that fair?
I think you mean
he's still pretty close with Pelletier.
Okay.
Because there's that awkward thing, like, even though he's been faking it that he's been Arkadiy, there was that weird, like, you're like a dad to me thing. And Chauncey's a dude that, again, abandonment issues, or grew up as an orphan, and he's kind of latched onto that pseudo-parental thing with Pelletier.
Okay.
So one of my signature items is still Pelletier's study in secrets. So, like, Pelletier and your engagement with him might be your main way to hook Chauncey back in every now and then, because he just can't help himself. He's actually, especially with this much time, Chauncey's actually grown pretty attached to Pelletier. That's probably the main reason he's here.
Hearing your voice as you talk to your daughters, he's like,
"Oh, is that my dear Arkadiy? Arkadiy, where are you?"
And he has shriveled up a bit. Like he's definitely, again, he's about 80. He's hunched over a little bit. Senility has begun to strike him a little bit, so his memory is probably a little bit more foggy. He has more of an honorary position when it comes to finances between Chauncey and Theobald, probably taking more of the helm of that. But he is still here, and he's like,
"Arkadiy, is that you? Come here, son. Come sit next to me. Come right here."
Did you think I was going to miss this celebration for your birthday? They'll dress it up with all sorts of other nuances and words and this and that. But we all know the reason people are here is to celebrate you magnificent old bastard. How did you make it this long?
Oh, healthy living is really what it is. Healthy living. I
only
drink
drinking the best vintage. That's what.
7 glasses of wine a day keeps the,
It's good for the
keeps
heart,
the
isn't it?
doctors away. Yes. The leeches say I bleed the grape juice.
And then he'll call out to like your daughters,
Come give your grandfather a little smooch on the cheek. And they're like, oh my God, no. Oh my God. Oh, you're so,
And so they come over, they give him like the peck on the cheek and everything. And he's like,
you have such a beautiful family, Arkadiy.
and they're like, Dad, why do they call you Arkadiy? Like, doesn't even make sense.
He's a sweet old man. Just be kind.
Fine. We're just going to sit in the back. Is that okay? I'm going to read a book. I brought a book.
I
It's
don't
got
blame you,
pictures in
honestly.
it.
Chiara, Carlotta, thank you for being here. I know you didn't
Okay,
want to do this.
bye. And they turn around.
I love you, and thank you.
Okay.
Positive.
So they sit in the back corner of the box. You can see the front row of the box. There's Fortuna. There's Theobald. There's Pelletier, Chauncey now sitting, and Valentina sitting next to you. Right behind you is probably Solavita and Denisio. And then you turn and you look and you see walking through the archway, I'm going to say is Arkadiy and Vincent. Maybe you guys met up in the lobby. Maybe you met up elsewhere. But the two of you walk in and you see, like, there's enough seats for all of you. And what do you guys look like these days? It's been 15 years. Do you look any different? Arkadiy, I know you've always been bald with the mustache, but have things changed?
Yeah. So now he still has the horseshoe mustache, but now it's steely gray and white. But it's still well groomed. That the star pattern, scar on the side of his head is still every bit as obvious as it ever was. His skin is pretty tanned from the reflected light off of the ice in Luzrek. And he's still wearing his signature black leather armor. He still has his 2 blades at his waist. But you do notice that he's no longer wearing the prayer beads that you never saw him without. That's disappeared from him. But he still has that. He just kind of looks now like all of his features are just hardened. Like he's gone from just angry flesh to angry stone.
The lines are a little deeper than they used to be. Yeah, I get you. What about you, Vincent?
Vincent's in his early 50s now. He's got some medium-length hair, a streak of gray. The corruption in him has caused a bit of albinoism. The eyebrows still white. His sclera is more white. He's dressed up pretty cleanly, like his friend Aesop in the last college that passed. He's got his cufflinks on in his new suit. So he's kind of looking like him.
Excellent. So those of you who have gotten your seats, you're talking. Chauncey, you're turning around, you're saying, love you, and there you see. Maybe you haven't seen them in quite some time. You might not have seen Arkadiy in 15 years. Vincent, you might have seen a little bit more recently. But the two of them come walking through. You recognize them, clear as day.
There's a hug within half a second.
Okay.
Look at you! Oh my God, you look like shit, and you look great. I'm not going to say who's who.
You're looking healthy as well.
I am doing okay. I am doing okay.
I have missed your irreverence a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. It is good to see you. You're getting fat, though.
I mean, and at this point, like, what was it? Ash versus Evil Dead? Like, when Bruce Campbell was getting close to 50? Chauncey's 100% Bruce Campbell, age 50. That is totally Chauncey.
He's burn notice Bruce Campbell.
He's burn notice Bruce Campbell. That is totally Chauncey. He's like still handsome, but like, yeah.
Okay. Excellent. The minute Arkadiy starts talking, Pelletier's,
Chauncey, is that Chauncey? Dear Chauncey, oh, you're so...
And he turns and he's like,
it's so very kind of you to arrive here for my birthday. I could hear that voice anywhere.
And like, meanwhile, the daughter's like, oh my God, Dad, he's so crazy. What is wrong with him? Someone should tell him. And so Pelletier very clearly recognizes the accent of
Uncle Pelletier, it is so good to see you again as well.
You're looking quite fine there. Quite fine indeed. Yes.
As are you. No one would guess you are over 60.
Oh, pish posh. You're a flatterer, Chauncey. Always have been. That's what I say to everybody. That Chauncey, he's such a flatterer.
Yes, indeed. That's what they all say.
I hope you like opera, because that's all we have on the docket this evening. So go ahead and have a seat. There's wine if you're thirsty. It's somewhere here. Oh, here it is.
I'm no longer partake, but thank you.
Of course. Is that? Oh dear, is that you, Vincent? Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, how very kind of you to arrive. I didn't realize. Fortuna, is this a surprise for how very thoughtful of everyone. I'm very touched.
All for you.
Oh, that's so very kind.
Pelletier, I've been at your birthday every year for the past 15.
Have you? Oh, well, the mind, you see, it is not what it once was. If not for dear Theobald, I probably would have bankrupted the family years ago.
You look at Theobald, and he's like nodding.
We appreciate you, Theobald, and yeah, he's whenever I do any of his medical stuff, it literally bleeds the grapes. I've seen it.
It's a medical marvel, really. It's the leeches can't explain it. Some people are gifted with excellent athleticism. Some people with the ability to tap into the sorcerer's powers of the world, and I can bleed grape juice. Who thought? Who would have thought?
That's lovely. That's lovely. Take a seat. Take a seat.
My God, Dad, is it over yet? Oh my God! Like they're just going.
It's starting soon, darling. Starting soon.
Fortuna looks to Arkadiy and Vincent, and she kind of just nods at them. Right on time, as always.
Matriarch, as you requested, I have returned.
And you? And she kind of looks to Vincent as if he's just sort of like kind of with the cat dragged in, but like she is always aware of, over the last 15 years, she's always aware of sort of everyone's goings on. Good to see you as well.
Let's enjoy the show.
Vincent, did you get my last couple of letters? Come sit with Dionisio. Dionisio and I, and we can discuss it a little bit while the show goes on.
Of course.
So all of you take your seats. The curtain comes up. You hear the sounds of music begin to swell. There's a little orchestra pit that we probably can't see, but you all, considering where you're at, probably have a little bit of a view of it. Lights begin to come on, and we see this beautiful stagecraft. It's basically Eversink in some ways. Like you can see the architecture itself, these tall towers, these the fanciest places of like the Temple Market district, and we see a spotlight shine in the middle, and stepping into it is a very familiar figure to Vincent and Arkadiy specifically, but Chauncey, Fortuna, and Solovita would recognize her as well, as you see Ludovica Tonucci, a not just the Eversink's premier opera singer, but the de facto head of the last college sorceress cabal. And she begins to sing. Insert opera singing here. And you can hear the music swells up behind and then dips down as her voice begins to cascade throughout. The performance, you can tell it's a story not unlike like a Romeo and Juliet kind of story tale, or where you can see it's a love story between Ludovica Tonucci's character and a second character, this outlander from like a kind of more like a barbarian frozen homeland, Arkadiy. And you can see the two of them are these like star-crossed lovers, and their families are interfering, and you can see the political power plays and such between these families. And then probably about an hour in, you start to notice I would say Arkadiy, with your vigilance, you would probably be the first to start hearing a kind of a preponderance, a little bit higher level of like weeping. You hear, it's happened from time to time, as like a death of a major character has passed, and you can see Ludovica falls down and like grabs her brother, and it's just like singing this horrible song, and you can hear everybody in the rows below are crying. You can hear in the boxes that are off to your left and to your right, others are crying as well, and then it grows louder and louder. And Vincent, I would say you're probably the second to really notice this, as this is your business, the idea of sort of mood alteration, sorrow, tears, sadness. And then it begins to swell even further to the point where Arkadiy and Vincent, you start to feel the sorrow. Chauncey, you look back and you can see that your two daughters are beginning to tear up. They're not even paying attention, and they're just like crying a little bit. So Levita, you feel a little... Well, Chauncey, you feel it as well. Like you feel this intense sadness begin to just sort of settle on you. Like you feel your shoulders begin to slump. You hear the soft whimpering of an old man. You see next to you, your de facto father is like crying and crying. So Levita, you feel your hand grabbed by Dionisio, and you look over, he gives you a look, tears streaming down his eyes. And Fortuna, Theobald is next to you as well. It's at this point, I would say those of you who have had experiences, especially with, especially in, you know, like the five of you. So it probably is not something that Pelletier or Theobald or your daughters would really, or even Valentina would even notice. But you begin to notice there's an odd smell to it. And as you put your fingers up to your tears, all of you, eyes tearing, whether you're a crier or not, they're just starting to pour down, and you smell them, and they smell even more briny and salty than they should. And it's at that point that there's like this crescendo of music, and you hear wails begin to come out from below. You see a woman all dressed up, her hair done up 3 feet taller. You can see corset just leaning over the edge, and she's just like screaming towards the stage itself, her arms thrown wide like she's about to fall. Everyone make a morale test.
Oh my goodness.
Let me know how you do.
I got the 4.
I'll spend 1 morale.
Okay.
Oh.
I got a 1.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Okay.
3.
Got 7, spent 1.
I got a 6.
Chauncey and Fortuna, you pass, and you take no additional morale damage. The rest of you fail. Even the 4 fails. As the 3 of you take 4 morale loss, as you feel this immense sadness and sorrow, this like twisting of almost like your heart is being wrenched and torn and twisted in some way. And despite the curiosity of the strange tears coming down, like you can't stop it. And the sadness feels very, very real. What are all of you doing in this moment?
Fortuna is concerned about this woman who's like leaning over as described. So she's trying to, I assume she's sort of not in our box, but in a separate box.
Different box, yeah. Yeah, the main ones have their own box. This is probably a different family of some kind, some well-known, noble family.
So I would imagine she's kind of leaning around and trying to like command someone that's in that box. What are you doing? Pull her back. Pull her back.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a sway test to see if you can manage to do this. Spend whatever it is you want to spend before you do so.
Okay, I'll spend 1. I rolled another 6 for a 7.
Nice.
Okay. So you can see that there, as you call out to what looks like maybe her son, who's like sitting a row behind her, you can see kind of a familiar resemblance. There's not a ton of light on them, but you can tell that they're wearing like similar colors, the way that, you know, the Bonaventures and yourselves have like these family colors. And he has this these tears streaking down. It almost looks like mascara is running down his face, these darkened tears. And he looks at you with like confusion. And then he looks at his mother and he reaches out and he grabs her right as she's about to fall and pulls her back down into the seat.
And I would say after that, Fortuna's looking at everyone else in the box and making sure that no one here. What is going on?
This is not natural. Whatever sorrow does not touch me like this. Vincent, this is your type of magic. Do you understand what is happening to us?
This emotion, it's beyond performance.
Yes, and Solovita's going to grab Dionysio's hand. This is not normal. And she's going to use a point of forgotten lore and do a sorcery attack to create a protective ward on our booth. I know it's more people than necessarily the protective ward, but RP, give it to me anyway.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm not going to give it to you. No. I am going to hold you to the specific numbers.
That it's just one person. Then she would choose Dionisio, unfortunately, for the rest of the family.
And so which makes sense. Your husband. It's totally fine.
I'm just kidding. Just giving
you can see the tears begin to dry up. This sense of loss starts to fade from him. And he looks out at you and his hand kind of comes out and he's like, Solovita, your eyes.
And she'll lean in because he's very aware of sorcery. She's kept him up to date. Like he knows a lot of the family secrets. And she's like, it smells like it smells way too much like salt and brine. I think what we feared is happening. Something is happening again. As we talked, we need to prepare.
Okay. Arkadiy, you had said like you're not wrong. You're a hardened assassin. Essentially. So the fact that your emotions are overtaking you, like even if you're not yourself a sorcerer, it's clearly something unnatural is happening. What would Arkadiy be doing in this moment as you see Solovita and her husband are talking? What would you do?
So he'd be using vigilance basically, and he would be scanning the interior, trying to figure out if there is somebody that's triggering this, seeing, because he's seen Vincent and Solovita use sorcery. So he's trying to see if there's somebody or some source of this from within here. He doesn't he doesn't completely trust Ludovica, but he doesn't know if she's responsible.
Make a vigilance spend, and there's information I can give you.
All right.
You see on the walls, the interior walls of the opera house, you see that there are all sorts of figures that are climbing up the walls and down from the ceiling. Dozens of them. They're dark. They look for a second as your eyes settle in maybe a flash from one of these like reflective pieces of metal that the stagehands are using suddenly shines across the wallpapered walls. They're people that are like basically spider climbing across the ceiling, down the walls, up the walls, down the alleys, like the hallways between where the seats are below. You can see them everywhere. They're just like creeping and moving. And right as you're watching, you can see down below where all of like the normal seats are, where just the regular rich people are. You see a woman like stand up and just scream out. And then all of a sudden you watch as one of these shadows steps up and just jams a knife right into the back of her throat. And you see her throat explode outward into a row of people in front of her who don't seem remotely to respond to it. And similar things begin to start happening across the entirety of the opera house. Wails and tears are continuing to shout, but none of them seem to be immediately in response to this. It seems like you're the first person who has noticed something happening. What would you do with that, Arkadiy?
Fortuna, gather a family. We must get out of Opera House. Look, Vincent, see the shadowy figures crawling down the walls and across the ceiling. They're attacking those who are stricken by grief down in the pit. It cannot be long before they are here. We must withdraw.
How dare they interrupt? This is our opening night and Pelletier's birthday. How dare?
Yes. Bitch about it as we run.
Fortuna, as you go to get up, you suddenly feel a piercing in your back, and like air begins to expunge. And let's see, that's a 5 to hit. You look over and you can see Theobald is standing next to you, and he has a knife that he has plunged right into your back. And you see, as he's looking at you, his eyes are dripping with this dark, teary brine, and you can see one of his eyes begins to sort of flicker, and the pupil, the iris itself, sort of turns and shifts and suddenly becomes very vertical. And he's just, you can tell you're not even sure if he's fully there, and he's just kind of shaking as he does so, but then he twists the knife. And so, Fortuna, you're going to take 5 points of damage.
Oh gosh. And she's just going to I've been stabbed. And she's just like, her eyes are just so open, and she's just like incredulous at like all of the things that were going on over there. And she kind of looks very fearful. You said 5 points of damage?
5 points of damage.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Okay. What do you do?
So I would say that she is standing at this point, and she has her cane. And so I would say that she's sort of like gets stabbed in the back, and she will kind of just take this cane and just try to like hit behind her.
Okay. Give me a warfare test. As you swing back like wildly at Theobald.
I still have nothing in warfare.
It's fine. Still make the check. Just with minus 1, I think.
So, oh dear. Sorry, that was really loud. It's a 3. I dropped the dice out of the dice tray. 3.
A 3? That'll hit him. Yeah. He has a threshold of 3. So yeah, you're good.
I rolled a 4, so 3.
Give me 1d6 for damage. 1d6 plus 1, since you're using your cane.
I rolled another 4, so that'll be 5.
Okay. You turn around, you swing, you smash him in the temple, and he collapses right back into his seat. It's at that point you feel movement in this box, and you see standing in the doorway of this box, you can see that there are 2 figures. The one looks to be a good 6'2", 6'3", decently sized. Another is a little bit smaller, a little bit more lithe. And you can see the 2 of them, they're dressed in dark clothing that certainly blends in with the shadows of the area. It's almost quite difficult to actually see them until, again, one of those shifting lights begins to move about. And when you look at them, you can see that like there's a streak of skin on their face covering from like the middle of their forehead down across their eye. Another one is like from their chin like up to their nose. You can see these patches of scales, and you can see one of them has a vertical iris, and they both kind of pull out these daggers that shine in the shadows, and they move into the actual room itself. We're in initiative. Fortuna, you just took the first technical, so I'm gonna say you started it. Well, technically I started it, then you started, then you went. So who would you have go next? As you can see, 2 figures have entered into your booth.
Arkadiy.
That's a good choice.
Okay. It's been a while since you've heard the sound of Arkadiy's CX short swords coming out of their sheaths, but he pulls both blades and immediately moves into attack. I will spend 4 warfare. And I get a 7 in total.
Okay. 7 is a hit. And it would be 3 over if you've got your AoE ability. I forget what the warfare one's called.
Cleave. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's cleave these.
Arkadiy, dispense with them.
Look at you.
Right. I can use 5 audience bits and do a brief flashback to
do a little flashback
Okay.
Just something
So
over the
I
past
think-
15 years
Yeah.
that helps you in this moment.
So you see him, these blades come out and they both come through and they're striking across. And in his mind, he sees the first assassination attempt on Isabel after she took the crown. She was just 19 years old and became the family matriarch. And one of the other families in Luz Rec thought that she would be at her weakest at that point. So they sent in 3 assassins. They didn't realize that Arkadiy was a master of two-blade fighting, and he just skewered both of them. And that's the exact same maneuver he does here. So I will use that to get an extra dice of damage.
Excellent.
Very nice.
Oh, it's wonderful.
So that's 12 points of damage.
And that's exactly what you do. You described it perfectly. Both blades go in ambidextrous. Like we see the runes on the one arm that has been harmed by the curse over the years, kind of suddenly shine as the light comes through, and you can see the blood burst. Their rib cages just kind of fall, and they collapse down. And right as they collapse down, you can see dropping down from the outside of the box, like from the hall that leads up to your box, you can see another one, almost ninja-like, like sort of whips down and drops in front of you. You look over your shoulder back towards where everybody else is to see this if they're coming, and you see an arm on one side come up over top of the railing, and then you look over and there's a second arm on a different side over by where Chauncey's sitting, coming up over the railing as you see 2 more climbing into the box itself. Who would you like to go next there, Arkadiy?
I think Arkadiy would look over to the person he spent the most time with in the last 15 years. Vincent, I do believe we have a couple of new problems to deal with. Perhaps you would like to handle this.
I've got these ones. Still crying from the opera show.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel like you're even more powerful though. Like this is like
Yeah.
you're supercharged.
I'll do my sorcery spear of chains on the new guys climbing up. Try to toss them overboard.
Excellent. Okay, give me that roll.
I'll spend
Chains fly out from him.
Got a 7.
Such a good visual.
Okay. You target morale. That still would be blast. So you could still get both of them
Awesome,
if you
man.
wanted.
I'll blast both of them, yeah.
Okay, give me your we're doing damage. You're just kind of knocking them loose, like just damage wise, knocking them loose.
Yeah, I'll do morale damage too.
Go for it. All right.
Ooh, max roll.
Nice.
7.
Rocks
You're
tonight.
off to a good
The
start.
chains come out one after the other. You can see they both get ready right as they're popping up. Like again, one bit of spectral chains. Like they probably can't even see it. And the second one coming, you get a split second of seeing their faces. And much like the ones I've described to Arkadiy, you can see there's these little patches here and there, scales. You can see another one. Their teeth are like sharpened in some way, but then then suddenly like the spectral chains hit them and they look confused as they don't know what exactly just hit them. They lose their handle and they begin falling back. It's at that point we hear the sounds of Chauncey's children, who are now probably freaking out about the fact that there is violence transpiring in front of them, as they're just like cowering in the corner and not just weeping as everybody is. Your eyes are beginning to get cloudy, all of you. There's like little dark spots that are coming in. Vincent, who would go next?
Chauncey, take care of the little ones.
So yeah, Chauncey will call out to Valentina that we need to get out of here, but he will move towards the girls, Carlotta and Chiara, and he's going to grab their hands. And he doesn't understand sorcery, but he gets that this is some weird musical-based sorceress attack, and so he's going to sing the little lullaby that he sang to them whenever he put them to sleep over the years.
Sweet.
I like you a lot. You're funny and kind, so let me explain what I have in mind. I want to be a personal parrot. I want to fly right by your side. I want to be a personal parrot. I want to travel with you far and wide. Wherever you go, I'll go there too. Here and there and everywhere, always with you.
Roll sway test. And take an extra +2 on it because that was so sweet. Yeah, so give me a sway test.
So good.
Sway, I'll roll it. We'll just throw the +2 at the end of it.
Okay.
4.
Okay, 4 is a success. They're your children. They're not like, I mean, I know they're 13, but this is terrifying. And you can see like they're freaking out at first. They're screaming. You start singing this and like they're looking up at you terrified and they're still crying and they don't know why they're crying. And now they're kind of crying for a real reason as they're seeing violence, people be killed and thrown off the balconies. There's sounds of people screaming from other boxes and from down in the theater. And then they suddenly start singing along with you as they get up. And what do you think you do? Are they small enough? Or are you strong enough to like pick them up? They're 13, so I wasn't sure.
Like yanking them,
just
like
grabbing them.
He's got a lot of athletics. He's strong enough to like yank them up, but hopefully they start moving forward after he's like picked them up and started pulling them a little bit.
You pick them up, you start pulling, you get to where Arkadiy's standing, and then you see right in front of where you and Arkadiy are and where your children are, there's another one of these figures that you just saw Vincent blast off of the balcony, standing, kind of blocking the path, pulling out these daggers out towards where the hall is to leave the opera house. And who goes next, Chauncey?
Solovita.
Oh, no, go with them. Go with them, popcorn.
No,
Remember?
he said it. He said it. He said it.
It's, I mean, because Fortune's already gone, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started it off.
That's my bad. But you know what? Hey,
I mean,
fair's fair. I said it.
You did.
I'll take
you
it.
did. All right. So
I said it. I'll take it.
I did say this is the final episode, right? Did I mention that?
It's okay.
I know. It's a final arc. I don't think I heard final episode.
Could be a 1 episode arc. Who knows?
Okay, so
go ahead, Solovita.
Jeff, right now there's one more sort of snake fellow that's blocking Chauncey and the girls, right? Is there anybody coming up from the other, like you said there were people climbing up and down on the ceiling?
You can see, now that you're looking around, you can see, much like Arkadiy had seen before, there are dozens of these figures that are literally spider climbing on the walls, coming towards your booth. Others are hopping down into different booths. You look off and you see, like in the box right next to you, there's people that are like in the process of being attacked by them. You feel like a rumble a bit in the box itself, like the balcony is kind of loose. You see one of the balconies on the far side, on the other side of the theater, suddenly snap, and everyone kind of slides off, smashes into the railing and falls down. You think that like this is just the first wave, essentially, is where you're at. There are others that could potentially do you harm soon.
Okay, so I'm just trying to assess like the initial threats that are going to be happening right after.
One blocking
sure.
that one for sure, and there's probably more that would be able to drop into the box here on the next round.
Okay, Fortuna, I know this is the Van Wallen booth, and I'm about to fuck it, and I'm really sorry about this. So she's gonna
do what you need to do.
Okay. She's going to clap her hands together, use a point of corruption, internalize that corruption, and she's going to change, using transmutation, to change the air that is just on the like outside of the open section of the booth that's facing out towards the stage, change it to stone. Essentially making it like a solid bubble where we have the door to escape out the back of but the front of the booth, the air is transmuted into stone. So I'm just making it so we can only get attacked by one direction.
I think that's probably 2 corruption I would probably want on that. You're affecting a very large area to create stone.
That is all of my corruption, but I will do it for the family and then cry. Here we go.
For the family.
For the family, I have spent 2 corruption. I need to do a health corruption check it's health for, oh God, I forgot.
We got to do the sorcery test first. So you got to do a sorcery to see if you pass. You know, something bad happens. But give that a roll.
Okay.
This is just to see if you get the effect.
No.
Yeah, you guys rolled so great.
I know. Okay. I'm scared.
So suddenly the window that kind of overlooks begins to change in shape and kind of like you see this like lattice work begin to form, and then suddenly this thin block of concrete just covers everything, and no longer are you getting the lights now coming from the stage itself. You can still hear the echoes of screams coming through the concrete, but you can't see anything anymore. Okay, Then you need to do your corruption roll.
Yes.
Okay, so you need to choose, are you internalizing it or are you
Yes.
externalizing it?
Internalizing it.
Okay, you need to make a health test, difficulty 3 plus the number of corruption you just spent, so 5 would be the difficulty on this.
I'm going to use 3 health on this.
Okay, all right.
Oh God! Thank God I did.
Good
That's
thing.
5.
Good thing.
Ooh.
All right, that is a pass. So as long as you pass, I think it's just like
A hidden little scale that appears.
a hidden thing.
with the rest.
Yeah, exactly. No one notices it. Okay. Okay. So suddenly, like that is blocked off now. Excellent. All right. Which means now I am going to go with my various things that happen. I would say the first thing is that you all hear the sounds of some kind of like the opera singer. Everything's muffled now, obviously because of the concrete, but you can still hear some sound.
Come on, marble, beautiful black slate, concrete.
I mean, if you wanted to be marble, like you could, but that's pretty heavy. So that could be bad for the balcony if you wanted to be that.
How about hardwood?
Can you do
wood?
I thought you did stone stuff.
I did.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like your statuary, Orswith was stone. I would go for a metal if you wanted a metal because of that. I think that tracks
Right,
narratively.
I will take metal. I'll do a beautiful copper.
Okay, so we see a copper, so it's copper instead. We can still hear some things, but it's nonetheless concrete. Okay, copper shows up. All right, you all hear the sounds of the prima donna, Ludovica Tanucci. She's still singing, and not only is she still singing, but suddenly you hear this yelp that just seems to cascade through the halls. Those of you, Chauncey, Arkadiy, that are near the hall, like you're right in the entranceway to go out, you can hear it echoing down those halls as well. It's a horrible like death rattle that just seems to emerge. I need everyone to make a morale test
Oh boy.
right now, please.
Dionisio currently has a protect board for morale damage specifically.
That's a good point. I actually didn't roll for the NPCs.
Oh gosh.
And now that you reminded me, I probably should.
Oh, Pelletier. I mean,
Pelletier
people
passed,
stabbed
'cause
me,
he's the
so
baller.
there's that.
Yes.
Okay, your husband passed just fine. No issues whatsoever.
Fuck with you, not in day. What are you parent?
Oh gosh.
Whatever you say.
got
I
rid
rolled
of
ones
half
on
your
both of your daughters. I rolled ones on both of your
Yeah.
daughters.
No.
I rolled a 5 on Valentina,
Hey,
though. Okay, Valentina.
They're not little kids anymore. They're 13, so that they can be off like that. Teenagers.
Yep. Hey, I told you guys you could bring them. Yeah, I didn't say you had to. I didn't put them there. You guys did.
I got rid of
Yeah.
half of Jeremy's kids from the start.
You were
Okay.
you were on top of that. You're like, you know where all our kids are, and you're like, oh,
Oh,
some of them are
wait.
here. I was gonna have.
I knew better, but also at the same time, why you? Of course, you would.
Sure.
Yeah.
Chauncey, how did you do?
I'm trying to make it show up. I'm sorry. I think I got.
Okay, take your time. Fortuna, how did you do?
I failed. I spent 1 and I rolled a 1, so it was a 2.
You take 5 points of morale damage.
Oh gosh.
Katie, how did you do?
I got an 8.
You're fine. You rolled it. Yeah, your steely resolve kicks back in. It was maybe you're just getting a little old. Maybe it just takes a little longer to get kicked back in, but it's kicking back in. Vincent, how did you do?
They pissed me
Little
off.
Yeah. That's 5 points of morale loss for you, Vincent.
I'm going to spend an investigative to get 4 grit here.
Okay.
Probably a good idea.
Oh, good
Okay.
call. Good call.
So that will that means you only take the 1 then. Okay. All right. So what are you at now in total?
Wait, let me check if it's 4 grit total or additional. Okay,
I think it's
grit.
4 total. And I don't think it's +4. I think it's 4.
Gotcha. Oh, that puts me at -1, so I have to roll.
You do have to roll. But hey, that's still way better.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and don't forget, you can spend morale or another investigative point, or you can do the little audience flashback thing as well. Because again, that just gives you the basic effects of an investigative point spend.
Yeah, so you gain armor 4 or grit 4 for 1 round of combat. or gain +3 to health and morale threshold for one attack.
All right. So what do you want to do, Vincent, here?
Okay, I'm gonna probably spend something to get +3. I'll
Okay.
do corruption.
Okay. Tap into your sorceress abilities to do this.
Interesting.
We see like another little bits of like white begin to start appearing in your hair. They might go away, they might not. Go ahead and roll.
Adding 3 to this, I got a 5. I think
That's a success. That's a success. You're being overwhelmed with emotions right now, especially with sorrow, with sadness, and despair. You hear this horrific death rattle kind of echoing through the halls at this point, but you keep it together. How did Solavita do?
Solavita rolled a 1 after using 2 morale, so a total of 3.
Yeah.
For the flashback gains, how many audience point was that again?
5.
5.
Yeah.
Well, we got a bunch of them at the top of the
We
session.
did. The audience
Yeah,
is
very
so
generous
generous.
audience
Let's,
This session as
let's
well.
You
try
people.
this new mechanic.
to me. Where's my complication?
I don't know what
Some
this complication talk is. Ignore that part. Ignore that part.
I think you've got more than enough problems for us to deal with.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Making you guys cry yourselves to death.
Right.
Solavita and Dionisio have been sort of poring over these magic and architectural texts for a while and discussing plans against Borda to protect their daughter for the last 15 years. They've been working on ways of protecting themselves from damage, which is like she's ready to throw up protective wards on him, etc. And he probably has something that he can do in return to help her. That maybe he's got like a little charm that he bought from a stall that throws up a ward on her and helps protect her from this as well.
Sure. So maybe he's got it. He pulls out it's like this small pendant that has a little engraving of a rune, the specific meanings of which you're probably unclear, but the effect of it is that when he presses it against like your skin, suddenly you feel this coldness wash over you, but it's not a coldness of uncomfort, it's a coldness of protection, and you feel like this innervation, this moment like that you can withstand some of it. Okay,
which I believe means I still take 1 point of morale damage, but
you're still going to take 1 point.
Doesn't hurt me too bad.
Absolutely. Okay. The next, so then I'm going to come back to Chauncey. How did Chauncey do? 5. Okay. The difficulty of this one is actually 6. So that is 5 points of morale lost to you, sir.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Okay. Your wife passed, but your kids failed, and so your kids are essentially just. They're not just crying because this effect is causing them to cry, but they are genuinely crying and panicking. And you can see like they're like pulling at you to the point where like you're having trouble moving now as they are just like tugging you this way and that. So it's creating this little bit of a problem. The figure in front of you is going to lunge at there's two targets. I'm not going to attack your kids. It's going to attack Arkadiy. So this one's going to lunge at you, Arkadiy, instead of the guy carrying all the kids. Okay.
That makes sense.
It's like, I don't want to deal with it. 13-year-old girls, no thanks. You've got enough problems on your own.
Nope.
Okay. So he's gonna
tortured enough.
He's gonna lunge at Arkadiy. I'm gonna spend malice for a bonus on the attack. All right, that's a 5. It's a hit, but not a crit. I'm going to spend 3 to trigger his venom ability. So your damage is just going to be 4 points of damage, like normal.
I am going to spend a point of prophecy. Foreseeing this blow come in, I'll spend a point of prophecy to gain 4 additional points of armor.
Okay.
Or gain an armor of 4, that is.
Armor of 4. Okay. So that would be... so that's going to reduce the damage to what? 1 point?
Yeah.
Okay. So you take 1 point of damage. So then since you take damage, you also will take the venom effect which means that you, for the rest of the scene, your general ability tests, the difficulty is increased by +2 as you feel this lethargy begin to overtake you. You're not paralyzed, you're not knocked out, everything's fine, but you just feel a slowness kind of overtake you. Your limbs get numb and slow, your legs get heavy, and something has coursed through you. Those of you still in the booth, so you hear the sounds of things banging against that copper wall ineffectually. And then you feel the balcony suddenly begin to teeter and start to tip and fall. Everybody's still in, so I'm going to say everybody with the exception of Chauncey, Arkadiy. I think the two of you are kind of out in the hall. You're the furthest up, but you guys are okay. The rest of you
With
make
the two
athletics
girls.
tests. With the girls, yeah, your kids are fine. But the rest of you who are behind them, haven't pushed beyond them, all roll athletics tests to see if you keep your footing as the balcony starts to tip.
So this is going to be a -1, so 4.
Okay, 4 is fine. That's all I need for this one.
Oh,
It's
thank
about
goodness.
2.
I got the 3.
Oh, no.
So Vita, you fall. Not off, but you fall prone. And this is one of those things where the balcony is beginning to tip. And so you just kind of slide down it. And now you bang your head against the back of your own copper window. And you're almost as the like a bus tipping off of a cliff. You're at the base of it now as you can feel it continuing to fall. Vincent, how about you?
Roll 3.
Same thing. Both of you, no damage to this. It just means you've fallen and like you're at the base of it as it's beginning to collapse. It's going to take like a climb test at this point for you all to climb out. Fortuna, you manage with your test to grab something. So maybe you just grab the curtain and you didn't grab the interior of the door frame and you're right next to Chauncey and Arkadiy. And then I'm going to do tests for...
Yeah, I almost think
The
I'm
ball's
using
just
my
gonna fall.
cane to like hold on, like I'm holding onto my cane that got
I like
like
it.
looped around something.
Pelletier falls. He falls back. And then Valentina falls back as well. So the two of them go sliding back. And so now pressed against that copper window, which by the way, if that wasn't there was a chance that all of you would have just fallen off the balcony. So that was a really clutch play, Solovita. So now you've
Nice job, Hipster.
you got an unconscious Theobald. You've got Pelletier. You've got Solovita, Vincent, and Valentina, all who have fallen back and slapped and smashed against it. Whereas Chauncey with his daughters, Arkadiy and Fortuna are still up by the door, and you guys are safe. I move a bunch of stuff that you guys can't see. It's not in front of you. There's really only one that you can see at this point. It's just the one assassin that's covering the door. Then I will toss it to, I'm going to give it to Chauncey. Chauncey, you got a lot of stuff going on. Your family is pulling you in different directions. What are you doing, man?
I mean, he's got to clear the door so that his daughters can get out of there.
Yeah. The guy standing right there kind of blocking your path forward. What would you like to do?
Oh God. Okay. Well,
if you don't want to attack him, you could always make an athletics test to just try to like, while he's like sparring with Arkadiy, like he's exchanging blows with Arkadiy, trying to use that to just barrel past him. I will say because your daughters failed and their morale is now below 0, I am going to say you're similar to Arkadiy. It's going to be a +2 difficulty to you for any general ability rolls that you have. So like usually something's a 4 would be a 6 for you now.
I have an idea of something.
I think because
to
we
my-
have that like copper thing covering us and nobody's watching us. Chauncey knows normally you don't just break out the Falcon's eye in front of people, but he does like the highlighter thing where you just whip it out from your jacket ridiculously.
Okay. You carried it with you. Okay. All right.
It came with you to the opera.
It's one of those things. Yes, he does, because he's like
That's
he's
fine.
in a better place, but he's paranoid at all times.
He's a Texas oil baron. They have guns.
Yeah,
Maybe. Okay. I mean, it's a
It's
really
one-
big
it might be
thing.
one of
It's a
those
really
things-
big crossbow. Okay.
I don't know. Okay.
Maybe
He's got
no.
snake skin. He's got a snake skin coat. How it matches.
Okay.
Maybe it's like a cage.
No.
No, go ahead. It's a sword and sorcery game. You could have it audio. I don't care. Or you could just use the environment. You could there could be something else here you can pick up and grab and hit. Like you don't have to necessarily use your equipment.
Okay. I actually, to be fair, he probably wouldn't bring that here. That just makes sense. But there is like some other piece of debris that's fallen down nearby. Maybe it's a broken piece of seat, like one of those like an armrest. That's a broken off sharp end of it. He reaches down and grabs it. He sees that his daughters aren't going to like just run out on their own. He's got to push this guy away. So he will he'll go all in on trying to make this guy go away.
Do you want to? Are you attacking him? Are you like you attacking him? Are you trying to like knock him down? Like are you trying to damage him?
I realized one of my signature items I have is I replaced my sword. He actually has Philippe's old sword.
That I would feel like you probably do have on you because it's probably something you can put in a scabbard on your belt. It probably still looks dignified. Yeah.
So I'll spend my warfare. I'll make my attempt to like draw that out. A 6.
A 6 is exactly enough. It's exactly enough. Roll your damage.
D6 plus 1.
He just barely scratched Arkadiy, and as he's spinning around, you lunge forward with Philippe's sword. How much damage do you do?
I'm trying to find. Sorry, my system's being just a little funny.
Just roll a d6. All you gotta do is roll a d6 plus 1.
D6, and then it's plus 1. We know that. Mm-hmm. So 2, but
you stab him right in the chest.
What I might do is I'll go ahead and spend an ability, and I might do the points later to redo this. But I'll
plus 1 damage. Die on a successful attack.
1d6. 1d. Yeah. You want another damage die? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'll do that.
So go ahead and roll that second one.
So like doing the I don't want to spend the flashback points necessarily, but I'll still flavor it. Philippe's eldest son, who's of the same age as Chauncey's own son, when he turned 18, gave his dad's sword to Chauncey as a birthday present for being there for them as they were growing up.
Uncle Chauncey. Okay.
Uncle Chauncey. So we'll turn that 3
roll another d6
into an 8.
And that will be enough to actually kill this guy. As you stab him first, and it doesn't go all the way through because like your daughter's like holding onto your arm, and then you just continue pushing through, and you feel it break through whatever small like doublet, like thin doublet he might have underneath his hood here, and you see his eyes kind of just roll back. As they do, one of them has that serpentine look to it, and his arm falls to the side. The dagger falls, and he dies very clearly.
Run, go!
And they start running, panicked. They go up the stairs. They go the wrong way because they're panicked. No, they start running. Okay. Who do you want to go next? You are the first on your side to go this round. Melissa has an idea. She's pointing at herself. It's very rare for Melissa to do that. Yeah.
If she's asking for it, I'm not.
I know, right? She's calling for the ball.
Right?
There. So I have a thing that I think can work, and then if it doesn't work, I don't want to be it. But I have the I have the token of the unmoored path. So
it could work. Yeah,
would like to basically make us a portal to anywhere but here.
Ooh.
Okay.
So I don't have prophecy, so I can't really get a glimpse of the destination, but I can make a door or passage where none exists. The destination is unpredictable but real. Yep. So that is what I would
I have a little table, by the way, if it's random. So, okay. All right.
Yeah, because I don't have the prophecy, the investigative ability to go with it. So,
okay.
That is what I would like to do. I would like to make us a hole in the wall that's going to go somewhere. Oh, dear.
So funny. No, it's a good funny. It's a good funny.
Okay.
You reach up, you grab it. Do you do any kind of activation? Like, what does it look like as you grab it? Like, is there?
So I would say this is something that she's got sort of these things that are on her, and so she's furiously kind of like, she has these sort of like tokens sort of on chains. and so she's kind of furiously kind of like reaching because she's got kind of the high necked, kind of dresses and things that she wears. And so she's kind of furiously like kind of reaching for it. And then she kind of grabs the right one. And then you definitely see her just kind of like rubbing it in her hand and closing her eyes and wait. We will have a place to go. We will have a place to go. And then when she opens her eyes, there's like a passageway.
And so on the wall next to the actual door to this place, we'll say, or actually we can even say on the floor since it started at the tip. So there's like this slanted door that opens
just knock
up.
people down into it.
As you see the archway open up, you hear the sounds of foxes yipping, and the smell of a fox kennel suddenly permeates through the actual box. And there you see the kennel on your grounds.
Perfect.
It's right there. That's why I was laughing, because it always comes back to the damn kennel. And so there you see the kennel right there. Okay.
This way.
Do you hop in?
Yes.
Okay. So do you try to pull anyone with you, or do you just hop in? There's a few people like Pelletier and Theobald and Valentina who have all fallen. Like you could attempt like an athletics check if you want to try to grab one and see if you can drag one in with you if you wanted.
Let's I'll try. So it's going to be a -1 for this. And I rolled a 6, so it's going to be a 5.
Who do you grab?
Can you say again who it was? Theobald and
there's Theobald who you knocked unconscious after he stabbed you.
He stabbed me. Yeah.
There's Pelletier, the old 80-year-old man whose birthday it is. There's Chauncey, Valentina's wife, and then you can see Solavita as well.
Jeff wants me to say Pelletier because it's his birthday.
Like I feel like I knew Chauncey would like me to say Valentina, but I would say it would be Pelletier. It wouldn't be Theobald because he just friggin' stabbed me in the back. So it would be Pelletier.
Okay. So you maybe reach down with the cane. Maybe you step through and then like reach back through the door with like your cane, and like Pelletier's like old gnarly hand comes up like,
Fortuna.
Oh, grab on. Just grab on.
Best birthday ever.
As you pull him up through, and he is now. The two of you are in the fox kennel of your mansion. Who would you like to go next?
I have a point that I would like to make. I believe once Fortuna goes through the portal, it closes.
That is actually. Let me double check. I think there's like a delay. There's like a little bit of a delay, but it's like literally seconds. Mm-hmm. So like we didn't do it in combat before. So like flavor wise, I had it like instantly go, but in terms of combat, it would be before her next turn. It would actually close. So there is time.
So
but that's a good point.
So that means that someone is going to need to pull Chauncey because he went before me, but could go before my next turn. So,
those darn kids, they told to run away though. Some say they're still running.
Whoopsies. Oh dear.
Okay. So who do you have go next? You're a great father. You just protected them. Are you kidding? You had no idea she was going to open that. All right, who goes next?
I'll say Solavita.
Okay, so Solavita's currently like fallen onto the wall that is now the floor.
Yeah.
She's going to, I guess, Dionisio made the check because he didn't fall down here. Jeff is checking now.
I think he made it.
Yeah, because he didn't fall down.
I don't think he fell.
She'll kind of yell at him, grab Valentina. Chauncey, get your daughters. We'll look after your wife. And she's going to grab Theobald and try to get up there to the portal and hope that Dionisio grabs Valentina.
Athletics check for you. I'll do one for your husband as well.
I use a point of Guild of Architects to kind of know the layout of this and for the +3 points.
Guild of Architects and Canal Watchers?
Because this is like, we built it, you know.
You did say you built it, so you know the basic area of the balcony. Sure. Take it. Yeah. Sure.
Hey, the first time my bullshit has worked this session.
I mean, we've got copper walls, so I mean, you,
Oh goodness!
You both built it and redecorated.
I should have made it marble, and so it would have just collapsed. All that
Okay,
marble
so 5
just-
plus 3 for 8. And I'm
okay,
pulling,
yes.
Yeah, I'm feeling Theobald. I'm trusting Dionisio to pull Valentina.
Dionisio rolled a 5, so he is able to grab Valentina and pull her through. So now I think everybody who had fallen, with the exception of Vincent, I believe, has been pulled through. So I think it's just Vincent that's left. Meanwhile, Chauncey and Arkadiy and his and Chauncey's 2 daughters are still out by the entrance. Who goes next, Solovita?
Vincent.
I'll hop into the new open portal.
All right, just a little athletics test. Just a little athletics test for you to climb up. Just a little. Sure, we'd be fine. You've been working out, right? The past 15 years. Doing some pull-ups.
Never skipped leg day.
Mountain climbers.
I'll spend 2.
Yeah, you're a mountain climber. You got this.
That's
Nice.
6. Is that enough?
Nice.
Hey.
Absolutely. You crawl through, and you are in the dirty ground of the main wall and fox kennel. Okay, who goes next?
The game master.
You're gonna have me go next. Okay. Well, the good news is that I don't have that morale effect anymore. Bad news is that the game master controls the balcony.
Uh-oh.
Okay. The balcony detaches and falls, and it goes careening down and crashes. Chauncey and Arkadiy, you guys are fine, but when you look over, you can see that the balcony is no more. It is open air. You look down, you see the thing has crashed and collapsed. I'm also going to say that means the door went with it because it was built into the floor. And so you can see like a full story beneath you in what looks to be chaos of the theater. The balcony has crashed. The 2 of you are fine. Your kids are fine, but you don't have this free portal back to the kennel now.
So,
I have other things that are happening, but none of it's something that you guys would see. For those who can't see it, Jeremy is saying fuck. So I think Arkadiy still has to go. So Arkadiy, your turn, man.
Yeah. So Arkadiy turns to Chauncey. Don't worry, we shall get daughters out and get back to family our own way. And he goes charging after the girls to at least scoop one of them up in his arms.
Sure. Give me an athletics test. You might be able to get them both. Yeah. I'll say a 4, you get 1. A 6, you get both.
Okay. I will spend 5 points of athletics
All right.
and get an 8.
Fantastic. That is enough as you quickly get the blades away before you scoop up the 2 13-year-old girls, and they're freaking out. They're like, "Ah!" And then you're running
Don't
and running
worry,
and running
girls.
and running.
I
and
am
running.
Uncle Arkadiy. We run back to her mansion now.
You
Your
begin to go
father's
down
right
this like
behind me.
swirling, and they're like screaming. They're screaming.
He's very fat man. He's very fat man. He's
not fat. You shut your stupid mouth.
You go down this like swirling staircase, like it's a little
Come
swirl,
on,
and then
dear Arkadiy.
it reached this main area where they see these the 2 staircases from either side of the balconies meet and kind of come down this grand, beautiful staircase, this massive chandelier, and you can see that there are people panically fleeing. And you can see there's some fights, little skirmishes here and there, but like none of them are particularly focused on you. But you can see everyone is trying to flee at this point. From the doors, it looks like there's city watch officials that are trying to like push past through the wave of people fleeing as well. And I think at this point, I think it's fair enough to say that Arkadiy, you've got the kids. Chauncey, you can race after, and the 2 of you can push through the throng of folks that are trying to escape in the city watch and get out onto the steps outside of the opera house, where you can see that there are wounded people, there are panicked people, and they're all very, very, very well dressed, as the nobility seems to have suffered yet another attack. And back at the estate, We can see Fortuna and Solavita and Vincent and Dionisio. We can see Valentina, Pelletier, the unconscious body of Theobald, with one of his eyes kind of flickering back here and there. And we're going to go ahead and stop there, and we will pick up on that note next week, and we'll say we'll break out of combat at that point.
Hey.
All right.
Dang, that was crazy.
Right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, how
Oh
many
my gosh.
refresh tokens
Points.
did we get for?
Great
all the
point.
stuff?
You guys killed 3. 2 of the ones that you killed were 3. One of them was a 1. So it's 7 total refresh tokens from the ones that you... Actually, no, wait. Vincent killed 2 as well. So that's another 4. So you have 11 total refresh tokens between the ones that you've killed. And then I'll probably throw on... Let's make it an even 15 because of like the stuff that Solavita did to kind of prevent the other one from coming in as well.
Nice.
So
Yay.
say even
apiece.
15.
Okay.
So 3
Yep.
apiece. Nice.
Okay. Nice.
All right.
I dig it.
Okay. Well, that is the end of episode 1 of our final arc. We'll talk. We'll pick up next week, and we'll see where we go from here.
Yay.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
All right.
gosh.
Choices.
We're all gonna die, but it's gonna be a
What are you talking
glorious
about?
death.
Everyone's
love it, though.
fine.
Yeah, it's
No,
great.
it's- I mean,
Fine. Your family's
by the
okay.
end.
Yeah.
You know it's bad when I
did-
pull out like bullshit logic like 3 times in
Yeah.
combat.
I'm like, dang, 3 and 1. Look at that. 1 for 3. That's like Hall of Fame numbers in Major League Baseball. Okay. All right. Let's do a couple closer plugs, and then we will get on out of here. I'm going to throw it over to Aaron. Aaron, tell us about what you got going on over on Garblack.
Yeah, definitely. If you didn't see the episode from earlier today, go check out the Garblack Games YouTube channel. We were back for some Otherscape in New Casablanca, doing some harnessing and some deep dives into cyberspace to mess with a necro gang in the underworld. We'll be back next week where we're going to head off to a seedy bar and cause some trouble. And also, I think the last episode of the Star Trek Adventures, Star Trek 2E Adventures, will be dropping sometime this week as well. So check that out.
Awesome. Fantastic. As for us, tomorrow night, you can see Aaron and we switch seats. Aaron's going to run us through some more Dragonbane. Saturday this week, we got more Call of Cthulhu as we're back to Ethiopia. Monday, we've got Time Watch. So if you like Gumshoe, if you like Kevin Culp games, if you like Swords of the Serpentine, check out Time Watch. It's zany, it's weird, it's time travel, and it's the same basic system. Tuesday, we've got Mystery Flesh Pit National Park role-playing game.
We do.
The
You guys.
Very long
Longest-
title.
The longest
Very
title
long
known
title.
to the-
It's not even in the corner,
No.
and I still got it.
Yeah,
So
good
there you
job.
go.
Good job. I wouldn't.
Kim's was running us through that as we just made our characters, and now we're actually gonna dive into this giant sphincter
Flesh
thing or
pit.
something.
It looks like a
sphincter.
sphincter for sure.
It does. It does. And then what else we got? Oh yeah, and then next Thursday we'll do more of this. I should also mention Huckleberry RPG. It's our dear friend Steven. He's been making a wonderful cinematic action horror Western game. You can check it out on online. You can check it out on our Discord, and you can get it on Drive Thru RPG, the Quick Draw Edition. It'll be on Backer Kit for a big, grandiose edition later on this year. But take a look at it. It's pretty awesome. Thanks for everyone going out tonight. We will pick this up next week. We're going to go ahead and raid somebody. We're going to raid Insomnia Night RPG. So follow that raid. Have a great rest of your night. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Good night.
See
Bye.
ya.
Arrivederci.